Welcome to this week's program. I'm Shannon. According to Minnesota's Office of Traffic Safety, distracted or inattentive driving is a factor in 1 in 4 crashes in this state. 14 states and the District of Colombia have laws requiring hands-free technology for drivers. A bill sponsored by Senator Jim Carlson could make Minnesota the 15th state, and he now joins me in the studio. Welcome.
Thank you, Shannon.
I have a confession. I do sometimes use my cell phone when driving. After listening to the testimony at the committee, after doing research on this topic, I think I'm going to stop. Why isn't this already a law?
Primarily, there's been some resistance, and one of the studies or one of the thoughts that you may think about is that there's that thought that a handheld and a hands-free are not different in how distracted they lead drivers to be. And that's been a little bit of the hang-up. I've sponsored this bill or co-sponsored it since 2008. And I think that we're finally getting there now where people are realizing that the handheld phone up to your ear is something that is really distracting for people. And I think there is somewhat of a difference, especially when you're dedicating a hand to that, that device. It's different than speaking to your dashboard or speaking to in your ear. And I think that there is some difference. Now, the studies don't confirm that, or let's say they're not clear on that. But what we do know is that the crashes that we're finding do have some telephone component to them, and usually it's the hands-free that's the one that stands out.
It stands out as being more safe or safer?
The hands-free stands out as being more safe.
Okay,
correct,
than holding it in your hand and scrolling.
And of course, the thing that adds to that is that let's say you're a smoker, you keep one knee firmly on the wheel. Is that how you drive? And so it's there are other things that enter in here where the other hand has to be free to be able to turn on the turn signal, to put on the wipers, to do other things like that, and to hold the steering wheel.
There were no testifiers against this bill. So is there opposition?
I have not had anyone come to me with opposition. I do know that there may be 1 or 2 legislators that are in the, let's say, greater Minnesota areas. For instance, one of the things that has been a detail in the anti-texting laws has been that you can't text at all, even when you're stopped in traffic. And generally, you're stopped in traffic for a stoplight, semaphore. Mm-hmm. And Senator Tori Westrom said, in my district, we don't have any stoplights. So there's, there might be some resistance in, say, the greater Minnesota areas where, they just don't have that kind of traffic level. But as I answered him in committee, that I think you need to develop the good habits so that time when you're at a stoplight, that you don't, you're not susceptible to that tendency to pick up your phone.
If I understand the bill correctly, there would be no cell phone use at all by the driver except for one-touch technology. So you would have to be able to talk to your car or have the earpiece in terms of interacting with your phone. And if you had to touch your phone, it would just be to swipe. Is that correct?
That's generally correct, yes. We have Bluetooth devices that are in the ear that have a button on them you push to initiate the dial tone. Some of the more sophisticated phones, you just speak to them. You speak to Siri and you say, call Mike. Mm-hmm. And it will ask you who Mike is, and then you give the last name or the detail, and the cell phone will find the number. And with many of the automobiles today have the Bluetooth technology built in. So when your phone enters the car, the dash, the radio automatically pairs with your phone. So now you can talk directly to the radio and it will talk through your phone.
Well, so Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are already incorporating software into new vehicles, systems on dashboards. And Gartner, a leading IT research advisory company, predicts that this technology will be in 77 million cars by 2020. There's also the issue of a technology hangover that using these devices isn't completely safe. There's still risk, and they talk about a technology hangover, that there's delay in in people's reaction time still. So in terms of the safest driving possible, is this going in the right direction?
No, I don't think it's the safest driving possible, but I don't think that even having your radio on is the safest driving possible, because even I will listen to the radio, and I like to go between stations, and I'll punch a station, and I'll be hitting those buttons. And until we have all of that voice controlled, we're not going to get safer. And until we have it perhaps even thought controlled, it might not be the safest we can go. But at least this way, we're getting it out of the person's hand, and that keeping it from occupying a hand while they're driving, and that gets your attention more directly on the road. There are so many distractions in an automobile that I don't know that you could ever eliminate all of them. And of course, we're going to self-driving cars eventually in some cases, and
well, then you can do whatever you want.
Hopefully, yes, yes. One of the things that we always talk about with self-driving cars is they obey the law. So they don't speed.
Yes,
they don't cut
the
corners. They stop at right turns, all of those kinds of things. So, and those make it much safer.
Senator Carlson, I want to thank you for your time today, and I look forward to seeing if this bill goes anywhere.
Well, me too. I'm hoping that it does. I'd like to see it be passed on its merits, and that's something that we and meaning the supporters of it who have lost loved ones are really pushing to get this passed. And in the memory of a lot of those people who have passed away because of inattentive driving.
Senator Carlson, thank you.
Thank you.